You open Claude, you type a question, it gives you an answer, but it's generic. It didn't work. And you're thinking, what's all the hype about? That's not Claude. It's actually the way it's being set up. Most people jump straight to the questions, but there's stuff you need to do first before you ever type a prompt. And it changes everything. I'm Tracy and I'm going to walk you through it. And also, I'm going to show you the way I use it. And once you see that, you'll find where it fits in your world, whether that's your business, your home, whatever you're juggling. So let's get into it. First, let's go to Claude AI. So we're going to sign up, and I can continue with Google or do an email. I'm going to continue with Google, choose my account, and sign in. And then it's going to ask me, of course, to create my account, agree to the policies, and all those things. It's going to just do the normal onboarding. It's going to ask for certain things, birthday, phone number, and then it will send you a verification code. You can try the free plan, but I always suggest at least the $20 Pro plan. And just so you know, the free plan provides access, but with limited capacity, while the Pro plan offers 5 times more usage. So you'll really notice a difference. And you can also download the desktop app. It will look slightly different because it has Claude Cowork and Claude Code as separate tabs, but either option, browser or desktop app, will work fine. And yes, Claude is available on mobile. And remember, before going any further, the look of this may change depending on when you are watching this, because they're always adding features or updates. But if you watch this video, it won't matter if items are moved around. You'll still understand what they're used for. Okay, first thing, just opening Claude. This is what it looks like. There's the chat box right in the middle. It looks like every other AI. You've got a space to type, or you can drop in some files. Along the bottom, there's a drop down to choose which model you want. On the left, a panel with all your old chats and a plus button to start a new one. If the sidebar is in your way, just collapse it, bring it back when you need it. So I can show my recent chats, and then I can actually rename them. I can star them, I can delete them, and I also can search for them. You also see customize and projects and artifacts. And down in the corner, this is your profiles and settings, and that's everything we pretty well will be working with. But right now, at this level, out of the box, you and Claude are strangers. It doesn't know who you are, what you do, or why you're here. And when you're using Claude like Google search, it will always feel replaceable at this level. But if you take 10 minutes to set this up right, Claude becomes something you can actually use. So let me walk you through what to do before you take the first prompt and before you're doing anything with Claude. First things first, the privacy settings. Go to settings and then privacy. And we're going to go down here and you see help improve Claude. Turn this off. If this is on, every conversation you have is being used to train their AI. So everything you type goes into their training data. I think on the free plan, you can't turn this off. So we make sure it's turned off. Then you can actually use Claude without worrying about where your data goes. Okay, here's your models. You'll see names like Sonnet or Opus, and you don't have to remember them. What matters is how they behave. Most people just stick to what's ever pre-selected, but the model choice changes Claude's behavior. Some are better for quick answers, some are better when things get more complex. The stronger ones, like Opus, take a bit longer and use more of your usage. Think of it this way. Sonnet is the generalist, fast, intelligent, day-to-day work. Opus, the heavyweight. If you need deep reasoning, like untangling legal language or summarizing a 90-page technical report, this is the one. It can handle larger files, more complex requests, and it'll take a little longer, but you'll see the difference. HiQ is for speed. You want a quick answer, directions, a market price, a fast summary. HiQ trades some nuances for response times. You're not locked in. You can change the model for each question or project. And I'll go over projects later in the video. Claude has a thinking feature, and depending on the model you're using, it's called either extended thinking or adaptive thinking. Either way, the idea is the same. Turn it on when you're working through something complex. Selling a house is a perfect example. You've got contracts to understand, pricing decisions, timing, negotiations with buyers. That's a lot of moving parts. Thinking makes Claude reason through all of it before giving you an answer, so you get a better result. The trade-off? It costs more and takes longer. So leave it off for everyday tasks. So a lot of people never even touch the models, but clicking the drop down is a step to making this fit your work. Now remember, you can also do voice mode. Now you can talk instead of typing. And this is useful when you're thinking something through, you don't want to type everything, or you're just explaining things out loud.
Brilliant. Yeah, I can definitely.
I'm trying to give a demo and I need you to show how you work.
Right, got it. So, what would you like me to demonstrate? I can walk through how I handle different types of questions.
If you're not sure what to ask or how to use voice mode, just tell Claude what you're trying to do and ask for help. It will guide you. I find this gives way better results because you're not restricting what you're entering based on how you're typing. Now, file uploads. We've got the little plus right here, and we can add files or photos. You can drop files in directly, spreadsheets, images, Word docs. Claude can read them, analyze, answer questions about them. You don't copy and paste text from a document into the chat. That's slower and you lose formatting. Just upload the file, then ask, summarize this. Or what are the main takeaways? You can upload multiple files at once. If I had two contracts, I could compare these two contracts and tell me what's different. Don't retype what you already have in a file. Upload it and move on. Okay, now we are going to go to memory and search. We're going to go to the bottom left corner to your name and we'll go to settings and we're going to go to capabilities. Now this is memory. So we have search and reference chats and we have generate memory from chat history. Search and reference chats lets Claude search through your old conversations when you ask it something. It can pull up relevant detail from past chats and show you stuff linked back to the original conversation. Turn this on if you want Claude to be able to look up things you discussed weeks ago. Now, generate memory from chat history. Claude automatically creates a summary of your preferences, your interests, your work, your style, and patterns. Claude notices how you think and work. It does update roughly every 24 hours as you use Claude, and then this becomes the persistent profile that applies to all future chats. So we're going to turn it on. If you want it to remember something right away, just say that in the chat, remember this. Otherwise, it will be on a 24-hour cycle. Now, when memory is off, Claude forgets everything. The moment you end that session, every new chat, every project is a blank slate. That's fine for simple tasks, but if you ever find yourself repeating information, your business name, your goals, your preferences in every chat, that's a clear sign you do much better with memory turned on. And if you have them both on, now Claude can search through those specific conversations when you need them, and memory lets Claude know you without having to re-explain yourself constantly. Now, if privacy is a concern, there's an option to clear individual memories. The settings, capabilities. On this account, I just turned on memories, so I don't have any stored. But if you had it on for a bit, you'll see a list of all the memories Claude has stored. And you can edit or delete individual memories entirely from here. Okay, the next step. Custom instructions. These are our personal preferences, and this is under general settings. This is where most people just glaze over, but it's the difference between generic help and really usefulness. I go with a pretty basic concept: who you are, what you care about, how you want your answers, and what to never do. And I find the real power is in how you want your answers and what to never do. So these are my custom instructions. So now when you do that, every conversation starts from this baseline. So I shouldn't get any more long-winded answers when I just want a clear yes or no. Fill this out once, it will save hours of repeating yourself. And you can do what describes your work. And for notifications, just fill that out the way you want to receive notifications. Now, the next thing we're going to do is projects. And this is where things go from chat to actual work. So projects are folders, each one dedicated to a client or a problem or a workflow. You make as many as you need, and so far I have not seen a limit on the number of projects you can make. So each project is a dedicated workspace. It has its own custom instructions, its own files, and its own memories if you turn that on. And why does this matter? Because you probably work on different things. Maybe you have client work, your own content, business operations, personal stuff. Each one of them can be a project. And then inside each project, you have complete control. Everything is contained in one folder. And Claude can remember all the contents of that folder because each project gets its own memory too. And that way they don't bleed into each other, so you're not polluting one area of work with context from another. Let's say I'm managing a project for a local bakery. I'm going to go to the left side panel, click on projects, then click on new project, give it a name, and then I'm going to describe what I'm trying to achieve. So this project is about Sweet Life Bakery, launching their website, great project. So now it will have memory on this project. I can add some instructions, exactly what I want Claude to do within this project, and I can add files. Okay, so let's add some instructions. Again, I gave it a project overview, tone and voice guidelines, keep it simple, lead with what matters to local customers, your target audience, all the things I want Claude to know about this project. Since this is a demo client, I'm just going to add a client brief. You can see that this is what the client brief is, and telling it's a website relaunch, about the business, what the client wants. So let's add a prompt. So because it already knows what I want from the instructions and from one file, I shouldn't have to tell it a lot about Sweet Life Bakery. It knows about the upcoming spring specials. It knows that we're in Riverside. So that's a lot easier than putting all of that information in every time I do a prompt. I can now start really getting it to do different things within the project. So before you set this up, you have to spell out all the details every single time. After you prompt once, and Claude knows not just the client, but their style and their current offers. The difference is huge. The output fits the contents. So now we're not wasting time editing out canned language or adding back in details. So that's how you go from copy paste answers to something that feels tailored, useful, and specific. And remember, this will get even better over time as it builds up its memory. And just a note on prompting, I always ask for research first and then ask for output. You'll get better results in the steps. Also, your first answer isn't the answer. You keep going. Tell Claude to make it simpler, to expand this, to rewrite this. That's where the real value comes from. And the 3 mistakes I see most people doing is treating this like search, not giving enough context, and stopping after the first answer. Fix those and everything else improves. So let's look at some other features. The plus button. This is where quick features live. You can have writing styles. Normal is standard Claude. Learning is for teaching someone something. Concise gives you brief answers. Explanatory breaks things down with detail, and formal is professional business language. You can also create your custom style. Share a writing example or describe your style, and Claude will start to make adjustments for it. Take a screenshot. So it just took a screenshot off of this browser, and it can analyze the screenshot and write it out if that's what you're looking for. Research mode. So you would want to make sure you had this on when you want something that is deeper than regular web search. So research mode is very comprehensive, and you would only use it if you really wanted a thorough investigation. It's going to start asking me some questions before it moves on, but you understand the concept. And there's also web search, usually on by default, because Claude will search the web when it needs current information, or you can tell it to search the web. If you want to just test something out, or you want a clean slate with no memory, no custom instructions, nothing Claude knows about you, that's this little guy up here. Incognito. This opens a conversation where Claude has zero context about you. And for me, it's useful for testing how a prompt works without the personalization affecting it. Or working on something you don't want saved to your history. So when I close it, the conversation disappears. It's not saved anywhere. Okay, now let me show you something different. When you ask Claude to create certain things, forms, charts, documents, they don't show up in the chat like a normal answer. It actually gets built right here in the chat. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to ask Claude to create a marketing report on whether this bakery should be expanded. See, it didn't just put text in the chat, it actually built the document. I can read it, I can download it. Now, some artifacts you can actually interact with, like forms, you can fill them out and test them, calculators, games, interactive tools. You can use them right here. This is a document, so I can just view it or download it. I can't click around and edit it directly. Here I created a form. Now I interrupted Claude by clicking the escape button because I actually wanted to add to the form. Here's how this works. No matter what type of artifact it is, you edit it in the same way. If I want to change something, I just tell Claude. and it did it for me. I told Claude what I wanted in the chat. Claude updates the artifact, the panel refreshed with the new version. That's how you edit all artifacts. You don't click on them, you talk to Claude and Claude updates them. When I'm happy with it, I download it and use it for my business. You can always see everything you created by clicking this artifacts panel on the side, and you don't have to create them from scratch. See this plus button? Claude has pre-built templates you can start with. Forms, charts, documents. Pick one and customize it. Now, Claude calls these artifacts. I just think of them as the actual thing Claude built for you instead of just talking about it. Now, all of this stuff takes up usage, so let's check our usage because Claude is definitely not unlimited. So every chat you send and every answer you get uses something. You'll hear this called tokens. Just know longer chats use more, stronger models use more, deeper responses use more. Go to settings and then to usage. So our plan usage is over a 5 hour, and the weekly limits are exactly that, 1 week. Some of these features also are for other parts, like the daily routines is actually using Claude Cowork. And this is where you can buy extra usage if you'd like. This also ties into something called the context window. Thinking of it like Claude's working memory, it can only hold so much. What you wrote, what it answered, anything you've uploaded. As that fills up, Claude starts trimming earlier parts or compressing earlier parts of your conversation. And that's when it can kind of feel like it's forgetting something. If that happens and it just gets a little out of hand, start a new chat. Right now, you know more than most people do about Claude. But what we can do is we can start building things and connecting things. So the last two things I'm going to talk about are connectors and skills. Connectors is where Claude goes from thinking to doing. And you do this right here on customize. You're going to click on customize, then connectors. Connectors let Claude talk to your actual tools. Google Calendar, Gmail, Drive, Canva. You can browse through what it can connect to. Once you connect these, Claude can read from it and take actions in it. So instead of just generating text about your calendar, Claude can actually check your calendar, create events, find conflict. So let's connect my Google Calendar. So we're going to click on that and say, well, I'm not connected. So let's connect it. That's my account. It tells me what it can access. And it tells me what it can view events, it can see and download, it can see and edit share. I'm going to select all. And now I can go to Google Calendar and see the settings. The read only, I always allowed, and anything where it creates a calendar event or deletes, it needs approval. And that is it. Okay, let's test it. Let's look at our connector, and we have our Google Calendar. I'm going to enter what's on my calendar tomorrow. And it takes a couple of seconds to go through, connect to my calendar, and do what it needs to do, and tells me exactly what I have. So I'm now going to ask it to change the 1 p.m. content planning into the Sweet Life Bakery website content planning. So because I asked it if it was going to make any changes, it had to ask me. I'm going to say allow. Okay. And let's just go to my calendar. Claude didn't just tell me to do it. Claude did it. Again, I just want to remind you, you still haven't done anything with coding or technical. You're just talking or uploading files. And that's the power of Claude. So we now have one more thing, and that's skills. And skills are the things you always repeat, those tasks you do over and over again. So we're going to go to customize and click skills. So this is where your skills live, and you teach Claude a process once and then you save it as a skill. And then Claude uses that process automatically whenever it's relevant. So for example, let's say you write a Facebook post for your bakery clients every week and they always have the same format: hook, main point, call to action. You can create a skill for that. Then every time you ask Claude to write a Facebook post, it follows that exact format. You don't have to remind it. So we can create skills from here because Claude actually has a skill creator, but I'm just going to do it back in my project. Help me create a skill for writing Facebook posts. So first it goes out and searches for what an effective Facebook post is. Okay, so create a skill for me. I'm going to fast forward this part because I go back and forth in voice mode. Eventually I do go into text mode because right now you can't create a skill using voice mode. And now it's going to read the script skill creator that Anthropic, the owners of Claude, have built in there. And now they're going to draft a Facebook post writing skill. So it's even asking if I want to test it. So let's test it. So it's going to go back to the guide that it just created to make sure it's creating this post the way it was decided. If this was a skill I was building, I would have my own input in it about formatting, what I was looking for, style and tone, all things like that. But for now, I just want to show you how this all works. And I always go as my demos as marketing, but you just think if you were a teacher, anyone in any type of profession, that you were not doing Facebook's posts, but you were doing something else that was a repeatable process that you could build a skill on. So I can go up here and manage it, right? There's my Facebook posts. Those are my personal skills. Turn it off if I didn't want it, but I want it on. And by just doing the /Facebook post, the skill will come up. And you can turn it on and off. And this works globally. So this skill will work across all your projects. And the more you use Claude, the more you feed it your stuff, the better it gets at helping you specifically. There are two more features I haven't covered under the Claude sphere: Cowork and Claude Code. Both deserve their own videos, and I'm making those. So if this helped, hit subscribe so you know when I upload those ones. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.